Will be at the edge of your seats. This is actually a great sequel to the mayor's debate. We heard about practical solutions for changing the food system. I think that's a great motto for much of what the Milan Pact is about. We've had tremendous, rich, diverse examples already throughout the last 2 days. And the Milan Pact Awards are a continuation of that. We're very happy to be here, and my name is Thomas Forster, and I have had the honor to coordinate the last 2 years of the Milan Pact Awards. And I'm going to start by welcoming to the podium the representative of Fondazione Cariplo. Fondazione Cariplo it really makes the awards happen, and without their support we wouldn't be here. So let me ask you to welcome Silvia Pigosi.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here and to open this ceremony. Let me spend a few words about my foundation. Fondazione Cariplo is a grant-making foundation based in Milan, in the north of Italy, and we operate in different sectors, including environment, social services, research, and art and culture. We mainly act through supporting local organizations in our region on the basis of the principle of subsidiarity. And since 2014, we have been collaborating with the municipality of Milan in the process of design and then implementation of the local food policy. And we particularly assured that the local stakeholders we were working in our daily work life should be involved in the process, including the third and private sector, the research community, and civil society. And in particular, our support has been directed in the first part of the process to research actions. And we have identified at least 3, and probably research in the room will have plenty of other reasons, but I want to focus on 3 reasons why research is so important when dealing with food policy and the process of designing a food policy. First, research is needed to assure an evaluation, a rigorous evaluation of the local food system. Food systems are complex. Food implies different dimensions, and it's not always easy to connect all these dimensions and have a full picture of the local system. And there it comes the help of researchers and academics, which can help evaluate the local food systems and assure that the food policy addresses relevant needs and priorities and is realistic considering the context. Secondly, research is useful when coming to monitoring the implementation of the policy. And it is important that the food system is evaluated on a continuous basis to this end. Huge efforts are underway to develop indicators and monitoring framework, as the huge effort made by FAO and RUAF you have discussed these days. But we also think that it is important that local research groups, local research institutions work directly and assist day by day the local administration in adapting those frameworks to the local context and assure that the system is evaluated in order to provide evidence of the efficacy of the policy and hopefully inputs for its improvements during the years. And finally, academic experts are useful to analyze how other cities have tackled similar problems, and these examples, as it has been stressed a lot today, are of great inspiration for those cities which are just starting to deal with food issues. And here it comes our support to the Milan Pact Award, which has really been designed to collect different experience from different cities applying to to the core, and further stimulate the mayor's action in this field. We also wish that the demonstration effect of local interventions could have a significant influence in scaling up more sustainable food systems and triggering policy change also at a higher level. So let me conclude by addressing a special thanks to the cities, all the cities and mayors who applied to the award, now at its second edition, and also to the committee who evaluated and ranked the practices received, and to the Pact Secretariat, our partner in this important initiative. I wish you an inspiring dialogue with the cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Silvia. And this wouldn't be possible as much of the work that is going on the issues of food and nutrition without it being a teamwork and without being a team that works together closely. And this is no exception. The Milan Pact Awards is now a 2-year practice team, and the Milan Pact Secretariat in Milan has, for 2 years now, staffed the sort of backroom work, which is really quite time-intensive to put together the submissions for the jury, or the Milan Pact Awards Committee, as we call it. We have half of the committee here. You'll see them shortly in the ceremony. But in order to prepare the submissions for review and to manage the rating system, I want to invite the principal at the Milan Pact Secretariat, my co-master of ceremonies, Cecilie Michel, to come up and to describe the purpose, the process, and the results very quickly to you, so you understand how the Pact Awards works.
Thank you, Thomas, for this introduction, and welcome everybody, and thank you for being here today. So before we move to the most exciting part of this ceremony, I would like to briefly recall what are the Milan Pact Awards and their purpose. So first of all, they have been made possible thanks to the precious collaboration with the Fondazione Cariplo. This year we are at our second edition, and they are structured into 6 special mention awards, 1 for each of the category of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, and 2 monetary awards. So the purpose or the purposes of the Milan Pact are, from one end, to stimulate, in a way, cities' action on food policy and food practice, and on the other end, to stimulate cities to share their good practices, so to share their knowledge that sometimes maybe remain only at the local level. So this year, the criteria for evaluation were 4. We will talk about them later with the help of the jury, but they were adaptability, innovation, impact, inclusion, and all the awards committee assigned up to 10 points for each of the criteria. Then the sum of these, numbers were multiplied against the adversity coefficient. So at the end, the 2 final overall winners will receive 15,000 euro each, and this sum will be used by the winning city to provide peer-to-peer assistance, to provide peer-to-peer assistance to another Milan Pact city. We will later have the reports by the former winners of the Milan Pact last year, who have been providing this assistance to another cities. So I just named the jury, the evaluation committee, and here you can see from the map from which institution they come from. And I really would like to take this occasion to thank them again. We are very, very grateful for all the hard job, and also, of course, grateful to the MPA coordinator, Thomas Foster, and I would like to clap them, really. for their valuable work. Yeah, so I just said hard work because, as you can see here, we received 53 practices last year, and by an incredible coincidence, 53 practices this year too. Last year we had 33 cities applying, and this year 39. In the other graphic, you can see the practices received in the different categories. And in this other graphic, we can observe the geographical distribution of the submission that we received over the years. We can easily see that while submission from Africa and submission from Europe have been increasing, submission from Latin America, North America, and Asia have been declining. I think that this is a data that we should consider, and that maybe recalls in a way what Vittoria has been saying before about, the commitment of the pact in looking toward East a bit more. In this graphic, we can see all this data intertwined. And in these last slides, we see all the Milan Pact signatory cities with the 2016 submissions and the 2017 submissions. It is worth noting that over the year, in these 2 years, 1 out of 4 signatory cities of the Milan Pact have submitted a practice, which is, 1/4. It is a lot. And I think that this data really reflects the willingness and the tendency of cities that want to share their experiences, their knowledge, and their practices among each other. So I will, these are the cities, the names of the cities. I will now leave the floor back to Thomas, and I wish you a good session. Thank you.
Thank you. So you can see there's, just with 2 years, there's an early evolution of this. And I want to say that the jury and the secretariat and the donor are also always looking to improve. We made some changes from last year to this year. We'll make some changes next year. If you applied for a submission this year, know that sooner than later, we will actually gather the submissions and make them part of the Urban Action Platform, Urban Actions Platform that you heard about at the end of the last morning sessions. We also are excited in this second year to actually have alumni of the first year, and those highest winning score and challenging environment winners are Mexico City and Baltimore. And at this time, I'd love to invite you both up to the stage and take a seat here. But I'd like to invite Baltimore to join me at the podium, and then to have Mexico City follow Baltimore in making a short presentation on what now you've heard that the whole purpose of this awards program is to stimulate peer-to-peer experience sharing. The Milan Pact Awards winners receive a very simple form to explain their plan of action for how they will use, a $15,000 award doesn't seem like much, but it can actually be leveraged quite a bit, and you'll see just how these two cities have used their awards to great purpose. And I think hopefully this will stimulate other cities to learn from these experiences and think about participating in next year's awards program. So let me start with Holly, and welcome Holly, the Food Policy Director for the City of Baltimore. For the winning practice, Baltimore submitted a practice for governance last year, but won the highest score overall. And so I welcome you and invite you to give us an overview of what you did.
It's an honor to be here. So it has been a true honor to have received the award last year. And for as much as that we have given in best practices and sharing, we have learned as much in return. I want to take a few minutes to share with you our best practice on governance. The Baltimore Food Policy Initiative is an intergovernmental collaboration. We have 4 key agencies who work together with our Food Policy Action Coalition, a group of 60 people from NGOs to residents to academics to retailers, all to look at policy barriers and opportunities in our city. Very new to us, as we started this year, is our resident equity advisors, representing the 14 council districts in the city to help us do policy from a resident perspective. And together, we work with 15 agencies in the city government. One of the first things we did in Baltimore was an asset map. We really want to see where was food. It's not that it's a new subject, it's always been in government, but how does government work together to address it in a systematic and structural way? And so this was just who was already there 7.5 years ago. And so the Baltimore Food Policy Initiative, we provide technical assistance to each of these 15 agencies. But then you ask, where do we go and how do we use our resources? Where do we put our policies and priorities? So in collaboration with Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, we have done extensive food environment mapping. And you can see here, what we're looking at is our food desert layer. It is a place of highest need. It's high food insecurity, it's low income, it's limited access to supermarkets and healthy food, and an abundance of unhealthy food. So when you combine all that together, we get our food desert layer. And you'll see 25% of Baltimore City residents are living in a food desert. We use this map as a policy tool to build policies and strategies for the city. And so a topic that is very relevant to every single city in this world is food resilience. What we know in Baltimore, since 25% of our residents are in food deserts, we know they do not have 3 days food supply in case of an emergency. We can't wait 3 days. So what we have done is we have a food resilience planner who reports to the emergency operation centers in time of emergency to make sure that food is a part of our basic infrastructure in time of emergencies. We also have released a report with Johns Hopkins looking at our food resiliency. I do suggest you look at this report because there's one piece that's relevant to every single one of us. It maps out the failures of our food system and food supply in time of emergency, and it applies to all of us. I want to turn your attention to the next part of the best practices of the PAC, sustainable diets and nutrition. And I just want to point your attention to a few policies that we have done. So going back to the map of our food deserts, we created a food desert incentive area that allowed for a tax credit for a grocery store to come into an area where we could not get a grocery store to come. And as a result of passing the legislation, in less than 1 year, we got a supermarket to open and 5,000 residents were no longer living in a food desert. Another example of why programs are really important, we have a community-based food access program in the city to help senior disabled residents living in public housing to be able to order online and get their food delivered from a supermarket. It revealed to us a federal policy barrier that we needed to overcome in the 2014 Farm Bill in order to allow that to happen, and now we'll be one of the pilot states to address the technical barriers and policies that we were overcoming through the program. I also mentioned good food procurement because there's so many areas that we need to grow into and that we need to expand our work. And we're learning from other cities, from Austin to Chicago to Los Angeles, on how do we start to incorporate good food procurement into our contracts for especially kids and seniors. Food production is the last of the packs that I want to share with you. We have 25 urban farms in the city. We have 90 food-producing gardens. We want to make sure that our policies support urban agriculture. So we have an urban ag tax credit for farmers who own their land. We have a land leasing initiative for farmers who want to lease land. We have an urban agricultural plan for a vision of how we want to see our city with urban agriculture. We have updated our animal regs so we can have chickens and bees and rabbits and miniature goats. And we also have updated our building code to allow for an affordable way to have hoop houses in the city. With all that we've done in Baltimore, we can only move forward as we learn from other cities, and other cities learn from us as well. And so we have, in a strong relationship with the United States Conference of the Mayors, in 2012, the Mayor's Food Policy Task Force was established. And the main role of the task force was for mayors to talk to mayors specifically on food issues, not food a part of another big topic, but that topic of itself. And the other purpose of the task force is to really address policies, especially at the federal level. This past meeting of the United States Conference of the Mayor in June in Miami was a big event as it relates to the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. It was the first time the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact was discussed. It was the theme meeting for the mayors. Mayor Pugh of Baltimore discussed how Baltimore is implementing the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. You can see Thomas was there, West Sacramento and Madison as well. And we have realized that in order for cities to really be effective and productive in systematically addressing food systems, there needs to be positions in city government focused on food. And we have seen a growing movement of that. 7 years ago, there was a handful of food policy advisors. Now we have 24 cities who have positions who are working on food systems and food access and urban agriculture. So we too convene at the United States Conference of the Mayors, and in our last meeting, we adopted the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact as advisors, meaning that we're all working with our cities in implementing or seeing if the cities can sign the pact. Also, there's so few people working on food in each of our cities that we really need to use each other. So we share all the best practices we can. We have monthly calls on all the topics that we need to support over time. But one of the things that we have been learning is that the networks are essential to food systems and to the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. And through this award, I was really fortunate to spend the last few days in the Netherlands to understand how their city deal and their network of cities in the Netherlands are working to address food systems. And I'm really looking forward to going back to the US and to educate our network on how we could be taking the next steps forwards. So with that, I really, truly thank the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact for this opportunity to give and also to learn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Holly. And we'll have a few minutes for questions. And Holly, you can stay up on stage for that. After we hear from Mexico City, I think you'll get a sense just with these two highest scoring winners from last year. And of course, we had also 6 special mentions, which in the perfect world, we would have presentations from all of last year's. We just don't have the time for that. But I think you'll see the diversity just in these two. And so I'd like to invite the Chief of Staff for the Secretary for Social Development in the city of Mexico City to come up to stage. And thank you so much for being here after your city has been at the center of an earthquake recently. So thank you so much, Stephanie.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Due to the recent earthquake that hit Mexico, the mayor of Mexico City, Dr. Miguel Ángel Mancera, could not be here today. However, he sent you guys a message. Can you please play the video?
Hola a todas y a todos. Les envío un cordial saludo y una sincera disculpa por no poder asistir a este importante encuentro. Hoy la Ciudad de México necesita que estemos dedicados por completo a la reconstrucción. Después de este sismo del 19 de septiembre que afectó a miles de familias y a quienes debemos seguir acompañando y seguiremos acompañando. En las labores de reconstrucción, la seguridad alimentaria ha sido y será un pilar insustituible. Ejemplo de ello son los comedores comunitarios, públicos y emergentes que desde el día del sismo a la fecha han entregado más de 80,000 raciones de alimentos calientes y nutritivos a las personas afectadas. Como jefe de gobierno de la Ciudad de México, agradezco el apoyo de Ciudades Amigas. Su solidaridad ha sido invaluable para quienes habitamos esta capital social. Aprovecho la oportunidad para agradecer al alcalde de Tegucigalpa, Nasri Asfura, por dar seguimiento puntual a los objetivos de este proyecto. Envío también mi más sincero reconocimiento al doctor Graciano da Silva, director general de la FAO, y al alcalde de Milán, Giuseppe Sala, por liderar los esfuerzos encaminados a promover políticas alimentarias sustentables. Al alcalde de Valencia, Joan Ribó, así como a su ciudad, por albergar este tercer encuentro anual y cumbre de alcaldes del Pacto de Milán 2017. Estoy seguro de que el evento se constituirá como un espacio ideal para establecer nuevos puntos de unión entre nuestras ciudades y los distintos actores invitados, reafirmando así el compromiso de los gobiernos locales con la seguridad alimentaria. Muchas gracias.
Once again, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your hospitality and kindness. We want to thank you to the crew, the staff members, the volunteers who, along with Valencia City, have made this encounter possible. Building on what Mayor Mancera just said, and on behalf of Dr. Jose Ramon Amieva Galvez, the Secretary of Social Development in Mexico City, we reaffirm the commitment to say that the community dining rooms are a pillar of our food policy system. Exactly 1 year ago, Mexico City was awarded the Challenging Environment Award, and boy, has it been challenging. No one could have predicted that a year after, a tragedy would occur, putting into test the solidarity of our people and the efficiency of our social programs. After the devastating earthquake of September 19th, the dining rooms have become a key element not only to guarantee the access to food, but have also proven to be resilient to calamities and natural disasters. Amid the tragedy, the dining rooms provided food for the volunteers, rescuers, and families who were faithfully waiting for a family member to be rescued from the rubble. Parallel to the rescuing labor of the Marines and the Army were the people who run these dining rooms, men and women just like you and me, providing strength, support, and a warm meal for those in need. These extreme situations shake to the core our sense of humanity as global citizens and remind us of the relevance of international cooperation, especially among local governments, in order to strengthen the dialogue and exchange of good practices and experiences. This with the hope that our experiences can help overcome obstacles for others when faced in similar situations. With the monetary prize that was awarded last year, Mexico City decided to work hand in hand with the government of Tegucigalpa, Honduras, to exchange knowledge and provide technical assistance for the children's dining rooms in Tegucigalpa in the context of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. The project developed into a fruitful model of South-to-South cooperation in which a scheme for comprehensive food and nutritional education for children was born, based on the operation model of our community dining rooms in Mexico City. One of the core actions of this technical cooperation was the seminar on food, nutrition, and food security that was held in Honduras in August this year. The purpose of the seminar was to promote the exchange of experiences and knowledge and to train the attendants in order to strengthen the design and evaluation of food policy in Tegucigalpa. During the seminar, public servants, professors, and lead investigators, building on what the General Director of Fondazione Cariplo was saying, gave lectures and workshops to the operational staff of the childcare centers in Tegucigalpa. In addition, members of the Social Evaluation Council from Mexico City helped to set the basis for the development of a metric system for the monitoring and evaluation of the local food policy in Honduras. A key third party in this South-South cooperation was FAO's representation both in Mexico and Honduras. They were the bridge that connected our will to work together with Tegucigalpa. At this point, we want to acknowledge the valuable support and advisory from FAO during this cooperation process. They supported us by establishing communication with the local authorities of Tegucigalpa, providing us with a more clear diagnosis of the food security context of the city, and facilitating a more transparent and efficient use of the financial resources. Without them, this project would not have been possible. We also want to express our gratitude and recognition towards the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, Secretariat, and Fondazione Cariplo for their guidance and constant support in the development of this collaboration. We have worked as a team, and the results are astonishing. The medium and long-term results of this project will be, first, an elaboration of a metric system for monitoring and evaluating the local food policy in Honduras. Second, purchase and delivery of 7 pieces of anthropometric equipment that will provide measurements in terms of human growth and physical condition of children between 3 months and 14 years old in 7 different childcare centers in Tegucigalpa. Third, a memory of the seminar that consists of a report that showcases the work that was done during the event. Fourth, a healthy cookbook for children. It was adapted to the nutritional requirements of Honduran children and to the local gastronomy in Tegucigalpa, and in this particular point, we work hand in hand with the academic sector. Fifth, Healthy Habits Manual, a short publication for families with recommendations for a healthy lifestyle based upon the requirements of Honduras. This cooperation project was designed under the legal framework of a collaboration agreement that was signed in June 26th by the governments of Mexico City and Tegucigalpa, Honduras. This means that we are building a long-term relationship that will continue to strengthen the food security in the region. The global context demands government to look for sustainable and resilient alternatives for fighting poverty in all its dimensions. Today, it is in our hands that those who suffer from hunger have the opportunity to access adequate and affordable meals and fully exercise their right to food, because global problems demand local actions. It is time to act now, and we are so grateful to have learned from this experience. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, and please stay up here we have time for just a few questions. If you have any specific to these 2 very wonderful examples of practical solutions to food system change, I think both are very rich and full of concrete actions taken by city governments and legally constituted and with staffing, and it's actually very exciting to see and to have provided through the Milan Pact Awards a little bit of extra catalyst to take it further. So anybody here have a question for either Stephanie or Holly that you want to ask? Anything about their experiences? Any of the
Wat goed dat Ede is beloond met een prijs voor de manier waarop ze met...
who received special mention awards last year? Anything you'd like to say from the floor? We just have a little bit of time if you have any questions. All right. So seeing none, and now that you're at the edge of your seats, do I see a question? Do you see a question? Yes? Ah, there you are. Good. Sorry, my eyesight is not so good. Yeah. Please, Tegucigalpa, come in.
Muchas gracias, buenas tardes nuevamente a todos y a todas. Solamente agradecerle al gobierno de la Ciudad de México por este gran aporte para nuestra ciudad de Tegucigalpa. encaminado en lo que se firmó la Carta de Intención y la declaración de la misma, dirigido al intercambio de experiencias y buenas prácticas en materia alimenticia y nutricional. Ejemplo de los comedores de la Ciudad de México, los comedores públicos que hemos visto hoy en este video. Y la finalidad, como decía la amiga de la Ciudad de México, el tema es brindar la asesoría técnica en la política alimentaria nutricional, fortalecer programas y acciones en materia alimenticia y nutricional a cargo de nuestra municipalidad y cumplir con el compromiso de la cooperación urbana, interurbana en materia alimenticia que establece el Pacto de Milán. Nuevamente, muchas gracias y nuestra solidaridad para el alcalde Miguel Ángel Mancera. Gracias.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who has a question? Do I see any other? Yes, please, Jess Holliday. You have a question? You want a mic? Need a mic over here? Oh, someone's running a mic to you. Or you can take one at the table there.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to ask the two cities, you both put the emphasis on exchange of experiences between networks and with other cities. And I would like to know if you encountered any real challenges in adaptability of your policies and practices between cities in terms of the institutional and governance context. In terms of the institutional and governance context that exists in different cities.
Holly, you want to take that?
Sorry, technical issues. Okay, is it on? Okay, sorry. So one of the strategies that we've been using is going through the networks. And through the United States Conference of the Mayors, we were working with the cities who already were on their own pathway to addressing food systems. And so we didn't see much resistance because those cities were already on their way. And once that started to build more momentum, so new cities started to join. But I feel like there's so many cities who are trying to work on these issues that we start with those who are willing, then more are willing to join as well.
Yes, we did encounter some challenges because the context is different, even though we're neighboring countries. However, we did use an institutional way to connect with our neighboring city, Tegucigalpa, and it was via FAO. Both offices worked very closely, and they were the bridge that connected Mexico City and Tegucigalpa, and it was easier to communicate because we understood the context of the city, we understood their food security panorama, and that way we could tailor-made cooperation for the needs of Honduras. And it was very fruitful because we learned a lot from the city of Tegucigalpa. So yeah, that was the way in which we could tackle the challenges.
Excellent. And I think this reference again to the work in Tegucigalpa and Mexico City with the respective country offices for FAO is actually a very good example of what the theme for this entire summit has been, which is increasing or strengthening the dialogue between cities, regions, and national governments. The facilitative capacity of the UN agencies that are working in country, and for this issue area, FAO is key, along with its other Rome-based food agency partners. But that can really facilitate not only the kind of exchange that we've heard here, but it can also help, if you will, package the results for other levels of inclusion in both national ministerial processes, but also in the international context that we've been talking about here in terms of the SDGs, in terms of the new urban agenda. This kind of partnership can be extremely useful because, frankly, cities don't have enough resources to do all of that. And so the external participation with UN system partners, but also with the research community that we heard mentioned here and we'll hear again, and the civil society and NGO actors as well. So thank you. I think this is where we can shift now and once again have a round of applause for the 2 winning cities from last year. Thank you so much. And if you have more questions, please feel free to talk to Holly and Stephanie. I know they have a lot more to share and would be happy to. So now we're ready for the rounds of award presentations for this year's awards. And we're going to start, as we did last year, with the Special Mention Awards. And I'd like to invite 2 members of our Milan Pact Awards Committee, Michelle O'Fried and also Emily Norford, to the stage, please, to give the Special Mention Awards. And unless there have been some clever leaks, I think most of you are still in the dark on who the awards are being made to. So we will actually invite the awardees to the stage to receive their awards and ask them to take a seat, because this year, if we can manage with the time, we'll have a period of questions and answers like we did with last year's cities, and perhaps some debate-like discussion of issues that you hear emerge. So be listening for the patterns and the emerging areas of excellence that are really important, that you feel need more discussion, because that's where we'd like to go with this. So welcome to Michelle and to Emily. Emily is here representing the EAT Foundation, both, and is here as a representative of a small team at EAT Foundation that worked on the rating of the submissions this year and also were involved last year. Michelle O'Fried joined the jury this year from Quito and with Slow Food Ecuador, so representing a civil society perspective on the jury. What we try to do with the jury is balance different sectoral perspectives. EAT Forum is a private sector and NGO, civil society, but it's really a balance of perspectives that we want on the jury. So please come, and I think you're starting with the first award, so it's all yours.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and it's an honor to be here representing EAT and also to celebrate the success of so many wonderful city best practices from across the globe. So starting off the awards for this year's Milan Pact, 12 cities submitted excellent practices under the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact category of ensuring an enabling environment for effective action, or the governance category. The winning city pioneered a new role for local governments by placing food as a central topic in city policies. Since 2015, the winning city has had an integrated food strategy to address food issues in a systemic and coherent way. The city has adopted a food program to operationalize this strategy, allocated a budget to implement the strategy, created a dedicated municipal team of 5 people, and appointed the first municipal food counselor in the country. The strategy was developed through a participatory process that involved citizens, NGOs, food education organizations, farmers, the hospital, startups, researchers, and universities. The Special Mention Award for Governance goes to the city of Ede in the Netherlands for its political commitment to integrated food governance.
Front of the podium, right here, right here. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon. It's wonderful to get to be here because the food systems and what we eat means so much to every single person on the earth. And we can change the earth through the way we eat. I'm particularly honored to get to begin to give out the award to the city that won Sustainable Diets and Nutrition. This was the category of all of the categories that received the most submissions. There were 13 submissions in Sustainable Diets and Nutrition. Now, this municipality, over 15, 16 years, has had a food policy that aimed, its goal was to have 90% of all of the food that was used within the city's public food system be organic. Last year, that average reached 88%. Now, this strategy of moving from conventional food to organics has been a dual effort to train both the people in the school service staff and also to completely restructure the procurement system to be able to supply those organic ingredients. That conversion from conventional to organic of 900 different kitchens across the city has been coordinated by many departments within the municipality with the help of consultants and with trainers and with a lot of people talking among themselves, I'm sure. Now, public food service staff plan their menus to utilize organic ingredients and to cook food from scratch. Real food, not food that comes out of cans or that has to have a lot of strange non-food items added to it. This changeover was achieved within the existing budgets. Now, I think that's something really to be praised. As a result, the organic systems, the organic supply system has been professionalized for schools, for hospitals, and for nursing homes that are providing a wide diversity of products. And as a nutritionist, we all know that the wider diversity of products we eat, the better we're going to be. I think a lot of you might have guessed which city this might be. This special award goes for Sustainable Diets and Nutrition to the city of Copenhagen.
Now, the social and economic equity category received 7 excellent submissions. In the winning city, a resolution of the City Council led to a process involving more than 33 stakeholder organizations to develop recommendations for improving access to freshy, health, and affordable food. The result was the Healthy Food Strategy Initiative, a set of 6 strategies for improving access to nutritious food in areas that have the highest rates of food insecurity. Among the activities funded through the initiative are the Fresh for Less program that provides access points for fresh staple foods through mobile markets, farm stands, and healthy corner stores operated by community and nonprofit organizations. Low-income families receiving federal nutrition benefits are incentivized to use their benefits in these markets, supporting local farms. In addition, the city initiated a comprehensive food environment analysis study this year, collecting data from over 900 food retail establishments to assess the availability of nutritious food at each store. The data will be illustrated on maps of voting districts and will provide the basis for prioritizing food access initiatives in the future. I'm happy to announce that the Special Mention Award for Social and Economic Equity goes to the City of Austin, Texas, for its Healthy Food Access Initiative.
The next category we're looking at is food production. And there were 10 submissions in this category, and the interesting thing is what we've been talking about of that link between faraway places and areas where people are crowded together and everybody eats. So these food production award, the award, but the 10 applications do that. They make those rural-urban linkages that aren't so far apart. In fact, they're becoming closer and closer. The winning city is going through an unprecedented population increase, which of course is bringing about food insecurity. And they are also having a developing lack of arable land, lack of land that can be used for production. So it's making it very difficult to continue with the traditional styles of agriculture, which required large plots of land. The solution that this city has come up with is to do micro-gardening, where food is cultivated on tables or in almost barrels, I think you could call them, on recycled materials, on a substrate of shells of either peanuts, ground nuts, and on the straw of rice. The project targets people with lower incomes, such as unemployed women, as if women aren't employed in other things, elderly, and disabled. More than 10,000 people, 80% of them of women, have benefited from this new technology, using small amounts of space in urban areas to grow large amounts, particularly of green vegetables, I understand. This micro-garden model is an example of a circular economy, recycling and reusing waste as well. The project can be easily replicated and indeed is being implemented across West Africa. This Special Mention Award for food production goes to the city of Dakar.
Sunshine through the rain. Sunshine through the rain. Sunshine through the rain. Sunshine through the rain. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Sunshine through the rain. Sunshine through the rain. Sunshine through the rain. Yeah. Sunshine through the rain.
Now, the food supply and distribution category only received 2 submissions this year, so if you're thinking of applying for an award next year, maybe this is something to keep in mind. The winning city launched a rural development strategy from 2014 to 2020, setting an ambitious goal of food self-sufficiency. Surrounding the city, there are over 800 farms, and the municipality is helping to connect them with urban consumers. The main activities undertaken by the city aim to shorten the food supply chain and to reach more and different types of consumers. Some activities include the promotion of farmers markets, rural festivals, farm stands, and encouraging local procurement by hotels and restaurants. The city is also raising awareness through educational campaigns in primary schools, such as having a basket of organic food products distributed by 70 food suppliers in school canteens. The Special Mention Award for Food Supply and Distribution goes to Ljubljana for their work on short food supply chains in the city and region.
We're ready for our last Special Mention Awards. There were 9 different submissions in the category of food waste. The winning city has developed through a bottoms-up process a set of guidelines to build a sustainable food policy. Curbing food waste in public health organizations is one of the actions highlighted by stakeholders. And truthfully, it's a very unique challenge working through hospitals and healthcare centers to reduce food wastes. Quite often when people are in hospitals or centers where perhaps they don't want to be or they're not feeling very good, they really can waste a lot. And as a result, this city has developed a participatory process to measure and also to analyze the current amount of food waste, its an economic impact in 4 initial healthcare institutions. These institutions received support to both reduce food waste and to develop innovations to disseminate successful methodologies to reduce that waste in those healthcare institutions. Healthcare institutions are given training to measure the amount of waste, to develop solutions, and to test the solutions with the guidance of experts. The successful solutions were then evaluated, scaled up, and shared. This special award, I'm very pleased to offer, and that it goes to the city of Bruges.
Thank you for presenting the Special Mention Awards, and thank you, Michelle O'Fried and Emily Norford. Thank you. You can take seats down on the floor again. And what we'd like to do now is give a few minutes each to our Special Mention Awards to give us a little overview of the work that you've been doing. And I ask you to just make a short transit across this long stage to use the clicker that's right here. And I believe each of you have a short PowerPoint, right? So feel free to, as soon as the PowerPoint is up, the clicker is right in front of you there.
Wat goed dat Ede is beloond met een prijs voor de manier waarop ze met het onderwerp voedsel omgaan. Als je weet waar je eten vandaan komt, zorgt dat er ook voor dat je er bewuster mee omgaat. En dat is uiteindelijk goed voor iedereen. Dank jullie wel voor deze prijs.
Als Edenaar ben ik natuurlijk ontzettend dankbaar en trots dat we deze mooie prijs in ontvangst hebben mogen nemen. We zijn als Ede enorm veel bezig met voedsel en dat wordt ook steeds meer zichtbaar. Past bij onze lange traditie. En als Edese inwoner kan ik dat alleen maar toejuichen. Heel mooi.
We leren onze kinderen taal en rekenen en spelling, maar we leren onze kinderen nog veel te weinig over voedsel. In de gemeente Ede hebben we daar wat op gevonden. Ze zijn heel goed bezig om kinderen voedselvaardig te maken. En dat is een ontzettend goed project van Ede. En ik wil u danken voor de prijs.
Congratulations, Ede, with winning the Milan Pact Award. Together with our digital food inspiration magazine and our outdoor festival Food Unplugged, we already worked with you successfully for years. This sign of appreciation is great because it shows that you are on the good way, that we take giant steps to get food on top of the agenda in order to improve the food systems in the world. Thank you very much, keep up the good work, and once again, congratulations.
Ede is happy, as you've seen, and I'm happy as a deputy mayor. Food is an essential aspect of our life, but also of a community based on a long tradition formed by farmers, by researchers, and by companies, and by enthusiastic residents. Ede is located in an area called Food Valley, strong in food and agro-food, and we've seen more and more the establishment of knowledge-intensive companies and educational institutes in our city. But next to the economic efforts, we have made an integrated food policy, inspiring our citizens to make healthy and sustainable food choices, to tackle overweight, to get away with food waste, all for the benefit of our citizens, for children, for senior citizens, for the athletes at the sports center, for patients in the hospitals, and for refugees in our city. They all benefit from an integrated food policy. Integrating a food policy means more than only economic and social. It means that this morning it was said, think globally, act local. But if you act local, you have also to act regional, national, and finally global. So we are interacting with all those different levels of government. And besides that, integrated food policy is taking away barriers which are man-made, the barriers between education and health, between education and urban planning, food and urban planning. We've taken away the barriers so that we are aiming and working toward the same goal is a food policy. Finally, I would like to take you a few steps ahead, a few steps to the future. In 2020, we'd like to open the World Food Center in Ede, which will be working on the food of the future, addressing global challenges, thinking, experimenting, testing, tasting food of the future. I'm really grateful for the prize, since it gives us a boost about what we're doing. And I thought about what is now essential about food policy, and I hope a lot of cities will follow in the food policies we are all defining, since food policy is about taking our future serious. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next I will have Copenhagen show us a little bit of what it feels like to be 90% almost organic.
I'm not sure I am, but the city of Copenhagen is. Well, it's a great pleasure for me on behalf of the city of Copenhagen to accept this special mention prize. It's a great honor for us, but it's also a fantastic acknowledge of all the work that we've been doing for the last 15, 16 years in the city of Copenhagen. And of course, the goal, 90% organic, has been something that we talked about for many years. And now we actually do not talk that much about it anymore. We're just doing it. And I would just mention a few examples from the everyday life in Copenhagen. Because out in our nurseries and kindergartens, we have people working there in the kitchens. Before, they were just, well, they provided food and that was it. Most of them was just working on their own. Didn't have anyone to share ideas with, didn't have a goal on what to do with the food, how to make it. And after we started thinking about how to make it more sustainable, how to make it more organic, how to make it more better for the kids, we could see that a lot of these people, they started making their own networks. They started, provided by us, going to different courses, getting more knowledge about what was best to do. And now when I visit these kitchens, I can hear that these people, they actually take great pride in making the best food they can. And this is not just in the kindergartens, it's also in the schools and out in our elderly homes. They make sure that they make the right food, and not just that, they also include the children in making the food. They make sure that the kids, they actually get the same knowledge as they have now. So, for instance, in one kindergarten, they have this goal that they want all the children to know and taste all the different sorts of apples that you can buy in Denmark, and that's a lot. That is their goal, one of them, to make sure that the kids, they know that there's different tastes, there's different feelings of different apples. Other places, they are taking great pride in making sure that the children actually help providing the food, and that they grow their own food also. Maybe we should go and visit some of the other cities to see how you can make it in a really small space as well, because that is also something that we try to make sure. So this is a great honor for me to accept this, because I can see that the people working in the city of Copenhagen, not just our fantastic members of the procurement office, but also the people actually working with the food, they know that this is so important. So thank you so much for this award.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Now we have a chance to see what Austin, Texas has been doing.
Good afternoon. It is such a pleasure to be here with you all at the, as part of this network and this knowledge exchange. My name is Amanda Rolick, and I'm a food systems planner with the City of Austin. On behalf of our mayor, Steve Adler, and our food policy manager, Edwin Marty, and the City of Austin, I'd just like to thank you so much for this mention, the Special Mention Award in the Social and Economic Equity category for our Austin Healthy Food Access Initiative. I'm going to give a brief overview of the work we're doing, but I really look forward to connecting to y'all afterwards to talk more about what we're doing and what you're doing and how it may intersect. Last year, Austin City Council directed staff to develop recommendations for improving access to healthy food and increase enrollment in SNAP. SNAP is the federally funded Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly referred to as food stamps. Our office organized a collaborative process in response to this directive, which included representatives from 6 city departments. We had health, transportation, planning, Office of Equity, as well as 33 stakeholder organizations. This collaboration resulted in more than 100 ideas, which were then evaluated for feasibility and potential for impact. Prioritizing all of these ideas, it resulted in a short list of optimal strategies, which were detailed in a report back to the City Council called Austin Healthy Food Access Initiative. You can find this full report online. As one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S., Austin is rapidly becoming unaffordable for many. So we are careful to frame any strategies within this context and be intentional about not accelerating gentrification. The multi-pronged strategy we proposed to Council included recommendations that address the many barriers around food access. 5 of those strategies are listed here, and I'll go into more details in just a bit. As a result of this report, the Austin Healthy Food Access Initiative received one-time funding of $300,000 from Austin City Council to help increase enrollment in SNAP. We also received $400,000 in ongoing funding that we'll get every year for healthy food retail initiatives, and a new full-time position of a food access coordinator who will have dedicated time to work on these initiatives. While we did not receive funding for all strategies, we were able to use existing budget dollars to pursue some of those initiatives that we believe to be of highest need. Chief among those was a food environment analysis. The work involved data collection at over 900 food stores to assess the availability of nutritious food. The data will be depicted on maps and overlaid with information about median household income and vehicle availability. This analysis is modeled closely after a similar project completed by the City of Baltimore in collaboration with Johns Hopkins Center for a Livable Future. And we have Holly and her team to thank in large part for helping guide us through this process. Thank you, Holly. The goal of this work is to provide a more accurate understanding of where residents face the greatest barriers to food access in order to help prioritize future projects, policies, and initiatives. As part of the Healthy Food Retail funding, the City of Austin partnered with local nonprofits to offer fresh food in 19 low-access areas across the city. This is known as the Fresh for Less program. These markets provide access points for produce and basic staple goods like beans, rice, tomato sauce, olive oil, through mobile markets, farm stands at schools and community centers, and healthy corner stores. We are launching another program that allows customers to use their SNAP benefits to double their purchasing power when buying produce at the grocery store. While a similar program already exists at farmers markets, we wanted to see this incentive expand into traditional grocery stores because we know that's where most people do a lot of their shopping. In Travis County, where Austin is located, 43% of those eligible for SNAP are not enrolled. That's over 100,000 people and over $300 million in lost economic activity from unreceived benefits. As a response to this, we are funding research to develop a comprehensive strategy to reach those people who are eligible but not yet receiving benefits. In many of our conversations with community members, we've heard that transportation constraints make getting healthy food a real challenge. The Safe Routes to Market initiative aims to make trips to healthy food safe for people of all ages and all abilities. We are aligning with other departments and planning efforts to make sure that the data from our food environment analysis informs their work. Recognizing that food alone does not solve food insecurity or ensure that a community eats well, we also need safe streets with complete sidewalks, reliable public transportation, access to healthcare and education, affordable housing, and jobs that pay a living wage. Simple, right? Because food systems are complex and cannot be fixed with a simple single-sided solution, we are encouraged to step out of our silos and coordinate across the city, the region, the country, the world, to ensure that when we talk about any of these issues, housing, transportation, or health, safety, or resiliency, we are also talking about food. And with that, I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, thank you. That's excellent. Wonderful, wonderful to get under the skin of what is going on in each of your cities. And now we're going to hear what's going on with Dakar right now, with the Microgarden Project.
Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Je vais vous parler du micro-jardinage dans la municipalité de la ville de Dakar. Dakar est confronté à une croissance exponentielle de sa population, plus de 1,2 million habitants sur 86 km². Et le défi est de nourrir une population qui s'entasse en ville, une population de plus en plus vulnérable et où les zones cultivables sont devenues de plus en plus rares. Et une des solutions alternatives et durables que la ville a trouvées, c'est le micro-jardinage. Grâce au portage national de la ville de Dakar, l'appui financier de la ville de Milan et l'apport technique de la FAO et de ses partenaires, la technologie de micro-jardin est vulgarisée dans toute la ville de Dakar. Qu'est-ce que c'est le micro-jardin? C'est simplement le microjardin constitue un système alternatif d'alimentation durable pour une population confrontée à la pauvreté et à la malnutrition. Les microjardins constituent de petites unités de production simples et peu coûteuses adaptées aux quartiers urbains à forte densité. Le microjardin consiste à faire du maraîchage sur table en milieu urbain vu le manque d'espace. On utilise des matériaux de récupération, comme vous le constatez sur les images, des bois, des palettes de bois, des bouteilles. Et le substrat est composé de balles de riz, de coques d'arachide, de matériaux trouvés localement. Même les pneus usagés sont utilisés pour faire du microjardin. Les cibles, les bénéficiaires de cette couche sont pour 80% des femmes, les handicapés, les jeunes, le troisième âge et les enfants de l'école élémentaire. Les impacts de ce projet, nous l'avons vu, les femmes malades du diabète ont pu faire un régime alimentaire et ont senti une évolution sur le plan médical. Les femmes, surtout le troisième âge, qui n'avaient aucune activité physique, ont pu non seulement s'adonner à une activité qui leur permet d'entretenir leur corps et d'empêcher l'oisiveté de les gagner. Les détenus dans les maisons d'arrêt ont pu bénéficier de ce programme-là. Le volet pédagogique chez les enfants, de l'école élémentaire, le microjardinage a pu les aider à devenir de meilleurs citoyens, en fait de devenir de futurs éco-citoyens. Ça a contribué à leur éducation environnementale, à leur donner une mentalité allant dans le sens de respect de la protection de l'environnement et du respect de l'environnement. Le volet écologique également, les microjardins constituent de véritables poumons verts au niveau de la ville de Dakar, où la végétation manque terriblement. Et donc, le microjardin a pu valoriser les espaces dégradés ou inutilisés. L'impact social, les activités liées au microjardinage ont augmenté la cohésion au niveau des habitants des quartiers et surtout au niveau des femmes. Elles ont pu se réinsérer socialement, une réinsertion sociale, en particulier chez le troisième âge et les handicapés. L'impact économique, le microjardin requiert peu d'investissement, car il utilise du matériel recyclé et des produits locaux. Les productions et les rendements obtenus sont 2 fois meilleurs que ceux obtenus avec le maraîchage classique. Et la production qui n'est pas consommée est vendue à un prix supérieur à celui du marché. Donc, la génération de revenus est réelle. Voilà donc ce que je voulais vous donner comme exemple de microjardin à Dakar. Voilà. Quelques images de... Voilà, je vous remercie.
Thank you so much. Now, Luciana, we'd love to hear and see what you've done. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. It's really a great honor, and thank you for this award, Special Mention Award. It gave us an opportunity to see what have we done. So when we applied, we had to go through all the things that we did. Actually, this is one part of the things that we do in the municipality, in the rural development section. Short food supply chains. I always want to put everything in the higher or the broader actually perspective. So it was mentioned we in 2014 accepted the rural development strategy of the city, municipality of Ljubljana in the programming period 2014 to 20. This is our second strategy. We started already in 2007. But in this one, we gave the special emphasis on the actually the self-sufficiency, and the first operative goal is actually increasing recognizability of rural areas and creating a comprehensive approach in marketing in rural goods. Municipality of Ljubljana, we are the capital of Slovenia. We have approximately 2/3 of the entire area covered with rural area. We have, as mentioned, over 800 farms that supply approximately 30% of the food that Ljubljana needs at the moment. And if we could use all the funds actually that we have, we would reach up to 50% of the self-sufficiency. So this is our goal in the next programming period. What we actually do? We know that the the production of the food is actually not enough. We tried to promote our farmers, we try to present them to the consumers, and we do that with different approaches in order to reach as many target groups as we can. So the first one is promotion events. We have the festival of the rural festival in the October every year in Ljubljana, in which festival in that time we try to present all those that are producing food in the municipality to the citizens and make them and help them connect. Another one is we are trying to, or we are stimulating farmers to arrange different stores and places on their own farms in order to invite actually consumers to their homes, and we call it the doorsteps sales. We have 4 organized marketplaces in Ljubljana, and we are arranging 17 more so that the local producers that don't want to go to the bigger markets will be able to sell their products also in arranged places. Basket of Ljubljana is actually some sort of standard. That means that people that have this label produce food in the municipality of Ljubljana, and they produce it with the integrated or the ecological way of production. And the short food supply chains, this is something that we do on different levels. One of them is reaching out to those that offer food in restaurants and hotels, and another one is actually working with those that nutritionists and cooks in schools, where we stimulate them to prepare meals that are actually agreeable with children, and also that they use approximately 20% of the whole ingredients that they use come from the local production. Ljubljana approach, how we actually do everything. We managed to create the whole network of different approaches. So the first one is actually the helping the producers, the primary production, and we do that with ensuring them the education, also the financial support so they can develop their own businesses. We create partnerships between suppliers and intermediaries. So we support them logistically, we promote them, we present them to the public. Most important is definitely building a trust. Actually, I'm working on this field of work for 17 years, and I practically know all of my suppliers, or my suppliers, I say my suppliers, but actually farmers in municipality. And when you create a trust, then you can create, and then you can actually listen to them, know what they need, and we are trying to build that sort of trust also between them and the consumers. We are educating youngs, especially in schools and kindergartens, through different workshops, and we still have a lot of people in Ljubljana, they want to have their own garden. So we arranged approximately 700 allotment gardens where people can grow their own vegetable. We educate them, we offer them also the possibility to increase their knowledge, their production, and this is something that we do, and we'll continue doing it. This is a stimulation for us, also the award, so thank you again.
Thank you very, very much. We have one more presentation from Bruges. Please come up. This is, I think, the first time I've heard of a municipality that has a rural development section. Like to hear more about that. Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Well, first, I must say also we're really honored to be here and receive this award. But really, I feel humble to be amongst those great projects for all the other cities. And I think we can learn already a lot from each other. So thank you for the Municipality Pact Awards. It's really great for us for the opportunity. Now, our story started 2 years ago, because in 2015, the City of Bruges facilitated a bottom-up process, and we built up sustainable food policy. And this was within the EU funding Food Smart Cities project for development. Now, this resulted in the establishment of a food lab, and our food lab is actually a platform of local stakeholders. We have about 40 enthusiastic organizations who work together with us around this sustainable food strategy. And they drew up the food guidelines for Bruges. Now, we have 6 priorities in our sustainable food strategy. But among the 2 target guidelines to target food waste, we have the reducing of food waste in public organizations. But at that moment, we didn't realize which public organizations will we tackle on first. Now, I was going to a lot of meetings to promote our sustainable food guidelines, and I always presented this picture. This is about the food waste in the Flanders region, and per year, per citizen, we have about 18 to 26 kilograms of food waste. And you have to visualize this. You have 6,000 garbage trucks along a length of 42 kilometers of roads transporting all these food wastes. And when I went to a meeting of Health City of Bruges, board members of the hospitals in Bruges came to me and told me, yeah, that's true what you say about the food waste per citizen, but we also have a problem in our hospitals, and if you ever want to do a project about food waste, please include us. So we're starting to think about, why not health sector? So then we were looking for numbers and figures about food waste in healthcare sector, but in Flanders we didn't find any studies nor actual figures, just an estimated number of 15,000 tons a year, but we had really no idea where it came from exactly. When we went to look to the neighboring countries, and the UK and the Netherlands had tackled this problem before, and they found that 18 until 40% of food waste was in the hospitals and healthcare sector. So that gave us the idea it's maybe a good chance to tackle this problem in Bruges also. Now, we want to look for partners to establish this project, and of course our environmental department and our food lab with all the stakeholders were obvious partners, but we also find co-finance of the Public Waste Agency of Flanders, about 50%, and with that amount of budget, we could also appoint Foodwin through a tender. Now, Foodwin are experts who guide European cities to reduce food waste. And I want to take the opportunity to say a big thank you to Joris of Foodwin, who is here in front, because without them we wouldn't have been able to guide the healthcare sector as good as we do right now. Now, of course, we have 19 healthcare institutions in Bruges, but we can't measure all the food waste with all 19, so we selected 4 of them. All 4 have a very different kind of kitchen of supplying food to their patients. And we had the 2 hospitals already, but we also have Rudestove, that's a catering operator who serves 6 care institutions related to the public center of social welfare. And we also have a day center who houses mostly children with emotional problems. They'll give you amount of food that they prepare. We're speaking about 490,000 hot meals a year that they produce for their patients. Now, we really wanted to have a participatory approach, not only with the chefs or the kitchen staff, but also with the nurses who serve the meal to the patients, with the nutritionists, and everyone who is involved in the food program in the healthcare institution in Bruges. Now, how do we do this? First, since we don't have any actual numbers, we have to do a measurement. And we use the method of University of Wageningen. We focus ourselves on international studies. And we start with that to have a base measurement on which we can collect challenges or define bottlenecks around the food process flow in the healthcare centers. I want to show you some picture we took a few weeks ago. That was a first measurement, because this is a process that is still ongoing. We didn't finish it yet. These are results of food waste from leftovers from the salad bar, leftovers from the breakfasts, and we have the exact weight of everything that was served there, so that we can have an amount of how much is wasted. And we, no, not actually we, excuse me, the staff is noting down how many is left over from everything, because it's really important that they note themselves how much that is wasted. We only guide them, and that's a reason, because they have to replicate these measurements sometime after we are already gone, so then we give them good guidance to do this. We also do food measurements on the hot meals, but there we don't just weigh the plate that comes from the patients or the cafeteria. We divide everything in different components, so we have to know how much vegetables are wasted, how much meat, how much fish, how much pasta or potatoes. And yeah, you see that's from one department in the hospital. And then we note everything down again on a form. It didn't look like much in those buckets, but can assure you that from the first results, we also have numbers of between 18 to 40% of food waste in our healthcare sector. Now, on the 16th of November, we're going to have a one-day innovation workshop, and all the 4 institutions come together with food waste experts, and we guide them through a creative process to find solutions for the problems that we find when measuring in their hospitals. Now, from these solutions, we will test them on the floor in the institutions. We get feedback from the patients, from the colleagues, of the people who are involved in it, and then we're going to refine it and test it again and have another measurement to see if we are already lower in food waste. Now, we're going to have a second event where we have, the aim is actually to learn from each other, and then we have a big implementation plan to upscale the solution to the whole institution, and then we will also proceed with a manual. And this manual is actually important because this will be presented in 2018 on the last dissemination event, and that will be co-organized by the Department of Welfare of Flanders. So we have every healthcare institution in Flanders that can come and listen and have a real map how they can tackle it on in their own institution in Flanders. And of course, if the manual is ready, every one of you will be able, if you're interested, to have it from us and maybe tackle on the same problem in your healthcare institutions. So there's a quick element of our participatory approach, which we want to receive that everyone is involved, that we have high awareness raising, that we have a manual that we can distribute to everyone, but also we tackle on other aspects like malnutrition, because food waste is linked to that also, and we also have obvious eco and economical impacts. If you want something more, you can ask us later on, or you can visit us on the website or Facebook. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all of the special mention award cities for your presentations, giving us a much more concrete sense of what you have done to actually behind the awards the jury made. And as you said, and many of you, there are materials available. You're here, you can be asked questions, but your presentations, it would be good to have and to include on the Milan Pact website as well. So now we're at the moment where our highest score awards we will be presenting, 2 of them again this year. And for the first one, I would like to invite the FAO Office of Partnerships Director, Marcela Villarreal, to the stage to make the highest award, highest score award in a challenging environment. Welcome.
Good afternoon to all. So, the city with the highest score for a challenging environment is in a country that has been struggling with problems of very, very high food insecurity for its population. This city is the country's capital city, and it has been seeing both an increase in malnutrition and hunger, and also an increase in extreme poverty. The combination of increased malnutrition and extreme poverty has led the authorities to be very concerned and to call on both the City Council and city agencies, and also bring in researchers to create an urban agriculture program focusing on producing nutritious food. The program's objectives are, first, to promote micro-vegetable gardens in the city's low-income neighborhoods for the food and nutrition security of the population. And in second place, for creating income-generating activities by setting sales channels for fresh vegetables produced locally. The project started back in 2011, and by the end of that year, it had already reached around 100 families. Since then, they set up a platform to be able to upscale the project, and indeed, right now, the project has been reaching 24 districts of the city, has set up 21 training establishments, including schools and social centers, and also, right now, reaching more than 15,000 beneficiaries. So, now we come to the exciting moment. The city with the highest score within the challenging environment is Antananarivo, Madagascar, for their program called Urban Agriculture Program. Congratulations.
Thank you, Marcela, and thank you to Antananarivo. And now I'd like to invite Silvia Pigosi back to present the highest score award for the 2017 Milan Pact Awards.
Thank you. So the city that will receive the highest score award made a submission that integrates food and/or training and certification, food literacy, and employment support by applying a learner-centered adult education approach to food and employment skills development. The initiative, called Community Food Works, is delivered in partnership with community agency and other city agencies. It supports low-income residents who are job-ready to access employment in the food sector while improving basic food and nutrition skills, providing training at no cost. The initiative highlights ways in which integrating food literacy with food safety and employment as a determinant of health can break down isolation, promote health, and generate jobs and income. Community Food Works also enables access to training and support for low-income residents who want to start their own businesses to earn supplementary income. Finally, this initiative empowers residents and acts as a catalyst in food-related business incubation and entrepreneurial opportunities. So the highest score award goes to the program Community Food Works, submitted by the City of Toronto, Canada.
So here we are. All the award cities are now on stage, and we have, like we did with the special mention awards, we have a little bit of a presentation from each of the highest score award cities. And as you are we're approaching the period where, and we've started late as you know, where we may have a little bit of time for questions. I'd like you to be thinking about what is it that is emerging through these presentations that you think is especially interesting or that you have a question about. So just think about that as we see our final award, highest score award presentations. And let's start with Antananarivo. Please come to the podium.
Good afternoon, everybody. As we are running short of time, I'm not going to be long because I already presented a lot of what we do in the mayor's debate. So I would like first to thank everybody, especially the organizers, those who have been involved in organizing this event directly or indirectly, starting with the Municipality of Valencia, the mayor and his team for hosting the MUFPP 2017 third annual gathering and Mayor's Summit. Thanks also to the Mayor of Milan and the MUFPP secretariat in Milano. Thanks to FIO and RUA Foundation and ICLAI. Thanks also to the Fondazione Cariplo in Milano for supporting the Milan Award. And my thanks and my thoughts also go to the platform of stakeholders in my country. And I would like to give a special mention to Mrs. Carmen Zuleta, who is here representing the IMV dedicated team representing one of our partners, the Région Île-de-France. Okay. On behalf of the Mayor of Antananarivo, who cannot be here because of special commitments at home, I would like to express our sincere thanks for being chosen to receive this award. I would also like to congratulate the other winners. Yeah. And access to sustainable quality food is a fundamental right for every individual. So it is our duty and responsibility as policymakers and decision makers to jointly define a territorial food policy and to implement a concerted action plan with all stakeholders to facilitate such access. So in this regard, last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants here for sharing your ideas, experience, and good practices. And I hope that our work continues to make a difference to the many people facing the challenges associated with hunger and malnutrition around the world. As I said a few minutes ago, I already shared our practices, so instead of being repetitive, I invite you to watch a video. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Now, you can run the video.
You run the video? Okay. Yeah.
Sur le versant sud-est de l'Afrique se trouve Madagascar, la 5e plus grande île au monde. Métissage subtil d'Afrique et d'Asie, l'île Rouge est un riche carrefour culturel. Réservoir extraordinaire de biodiversité et d'endémisme, 70% des espèces rencontrées sur l'île ne se trouvent nulle part ailleurs. Pourtant, Madagascar fait partie des 20 pays dans le monde les plus vulnérables aux risques liés au changement climatique. De ce fait, la vie quotidienne de la population malgache est souvent bouleversée. Les activités quotidiennes comme l'élevage, la pêche, l'agriculture sont ainsi menacées par le bouleversement des saisons. Sans de véritables actions d'adaptation et d'atténuation au changement climatique, les familles les plus vulnérables vivront des difficultés accrues. Madagascar est un pays à vocation agricole Et Antananarive, sa capitale, a conservé sa tradition agricole au sein même du tissu urbain, du fait de la configuration collinaire de la ville. L'agriculture urbaine fait pleinement partie de l'identité traditionnelle de la capitale et de sa culture. C'est dans cet esprit de développement durable, cohérent avec les spécificités locales, qu'un projet d'agriculture urbaine est mené à Antananarive pour les plus vulnérables. Il est né de la coopération décentralisée entre la commune d'Antananarive et la région Île-de-France et sur initiative de l'IMV. Il reçoit l'appui du ministère des Affaires étrangères français. Ce projet est conçu comme un mécanisme d'adaptation au changement climatique. Pratiquer l'agriculture urbaine permet d'assurer aux Tananariviens une source de légumes frais et produits localement. Cela permet aussi de garantir une meilleure accessibilité aux légumes, particulièrement en saison cyclonique où l'approvisionnement est plus réduit. L'agriculture urbaine est une réponse à plusieurs maux des grandes villes du Sud. Les espaces limités, les déchets domestiques, l'urbanisation sauvage, les crues et inondations, la pollution, la précarité et la vulnérabilité face au changement climatique. À Antananarive, les citadins disposent de petits espaces pour cultiver. Parcelles privées ou communautaires, cours de maison, vérandas. Transformés en jardins potagers, ces espaces peuvent être valorisés. En utilisant un matériel simple, issu généralement du recyclage, les citadins peuvent créer des micro-jardins et faire pousser leurs propres légumes. La récolte permet aux producteurs de nourrir leur propre famille et même de vendre le surplus sur le marché local, générant quelques revenus complémentaires. Les intrants de l'agriculture proviennent du compostage des déchets domestiques. Chaque famille peut ainsi fabriquer son propre compost et travailler son terreau. Ainsi, contrairement aux formes d'agriculture qui nécessitent de vastes terrains et de lourds investissements, l'agriculture urbaine est économe et sobre. Mieux encore, la transformation des déchets domestiques ordinaires en compost réduit sensiblement la production de déchets à collecter en ville. 800 tonnes par jour pour Antananarive. Au-delà de ces aspects pragmatiques, l'agriculture urbaine permet d'augmenter la résilience des villes. Elle a permis à chaque famille de s'impliquer directement et d'être à son échelle acteur des changements et actif dans la lutte contre le changement climatique. En effet, si les micro-jardins potagers se développent fortement dans la ville, la capitale connaîtra une végétalisation accrue, végétalisation qui est menacée aujourd'hui par la pression de l'urbanisation. Cette végétalisation permet d'atténuer les îlots de chaleur de la ville, de séquestrer le carbone et donc d'avoir un impact sur le réchauffement climatique. En outre, ces îlots de verdure ont une fonction importante dans la gestion des inondations au cours de la saison des pluies. L'un des handicaps d'Antananarive est aujourd'hui sa vulnérabilité face aux pluies cycloniques. Chaque saison des pluies génère son lot de sinistrés à cause des glissements de terrain sur les collines et des inondations des bas quartiers de la ville. Or, avec le changement climatique, ces épisodes de fortes pluies s'intensifient. L'agriculture urbaine a un double rôle vis-à-vis du changement climatique. Recycler les déchets réduit les bouchons de détritus dans les canaux d'évacuation et permet d'éviter leur acheminement vers les décharges. C'est donc une réduction des émissions de gaz à effet de serre liées au transport et à la décomposition des déchets. Au final, le programme d'agriculture urbaine à Antananarive permet un nouveau mode de vie et de consommation dans la ville. Elle sécurise les plus vulnérables à travers une récolte régulière, destinés à la consommation familiale et à la vente. À titre d'exemple, un micro-jardin hors sol d'1 mètre carré produit environ 16 kg de légumes en 2 mois, soit une économie ou une vente de 10 € pour la famille concernée. La technique de l'agriculture urbaine n'exige pas d'investissement lourd et les apprentissages sont simples et se font rapidement par les familles. L'agriculture urbaine peut désormais changer la vie des milliers de Tananariviens, au-delà des nécessités de la survie quotidienne. Renforcer l'identité originale de cette capitale dans sa tradition agricole est une contribution cruciale dans la lutte contre les changements climatiques, tout en créant des conditions environnementales saines et respectueuses de la nature et des hommes.
Wonderful. That was wonderful. Thank you. Toronto, would you like to come up to the podium? We'll see your practice. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good afternoon, everybody. First of all, if I may, I would like to congratulate my fellow award recipients here for the fabulous work that you've displayed. It was truly, truly incredible. And if I may also, I would like to extend some thanks to the MUFPP award jury and to the secretariat. First to the jury for the prize itself, and second to the secretariat for organizing this session where we're able to hear about these amazing practices that are happening throughout the world on so many different areas related to food, food systems, and food security. I think this has been an absolutely incredible afternoon. So first of all, my name is Eileen Davila, and I'm the Medical Officer of Health for the City of Toronto. That means I'm a public health physician, and I'm charged with the responsibility of leading Toronto Public Health, which is the public health department that serves the almost 3 million people who call the City of Toronto their home. Now, public health itself is not a clinical area of medicine. But that doesn't mean that public health is not in fact practicing medicine, especially if you appreciate that medicine is not about one-on-one individual care that happens in a hospital or clinic, but in fact, it's about the maintenance and promotion of health, and about the prevention, alleviation, and sometimes cure of disease. Hippocrates, who has often been called the father of modern medicine, is believed to have said, "Let food be your medicine, and your medicine be your food." In my opinion, these are the words of a true public health physician. And that's why I'm quite certain that if Hippocrates were here today, he would agree and would really appreciate that the Toronto program I'm going to describe to you today, Community Food Works for Newcomer Settlement, is the best, in its best sense, truly public health and truly medicine for the people. Through this program, which Toronto Public Health runs in collaboration with a number of partner agencies in the community, new immigrants and refugees to Canada are provided food handler training and certification free of charge. It's a 6-week program, and through this 6-week program, the participants are able to learn food handling skills, which in turn helps them gain access to employment in the food and restaurant sector in our city. The program also allows participants the opportunity to improve basic food and nutrition skills in a social and friendly environment that allows people to celebrate their native culture and food traditions as they learn to adapt to the Canadian environment and its culture to create new traditions. In this way, the program uses food as a vehicle for facilitating immigrant and refugee settlement and integration into their new community, and ultimately for promoting health. But rather than hearing more about the program from me, let's turn to the video so that you can hear about the program
in the eyes of the participants themselves, and also see for yourselves how the community food works for newcomer settlement uses food as a means to support health in its many dimensions: physical health, mental health, social health, and economic well-being for newcomers and refugees to Toronto. So over to the video.
I came from Syria. Back home, I'm a pharmacist. And now I work with community food works as peer animator, facilitator. I found this program very useful. I learned a lot of things. How can I deal with the food? To store the food in the fridge, how to use everything in the kitchen. I learned about how to read the label, the good ingredient and the bad ingredient in the food, like cholesterol, fat, sodium, sugar, very bad for the health.
I came from Egypt. When I came here, I didn't know anybody. Involved in this program helped me a lot. In my kitchen, for me, my kids, my husband, all my family, and back home, I told them what I'm learning. I'm a peer facilitator. I like to let the people know what I'm knowing from information, experience that I had from the program and the training, and especially it's in Arabic because nobody here knows English. If I speak Arabic, it will be easy for them to get it.
أنا سوري ساكن بحلب. نعم، نحن كان بسوريا يعني أنا قليل أفرم أو أشوي، هي المدام كانت تعمل هالشيء. ايوه، تعلمت من البرنامج مسك السكين، الفرم الخضار، وكيف مندير على صحتنا بالنظافة.
أنا جاي من سوريا وإلي 1.5 سنة. بحب يعني إنه أسوي شغلات بالبيت، وبحبهم ياكلوا ما بحبهم ياكلوا من برا، يعني لأنه هن قالوا لنا إنه الأكل برا مو كتير صحي. يعني أنا بحاول إنه ما ياكلوا أكل برا، بحب إنه أنا أطبخ لهم، وأكتر شيء بحبهم ياكلوا خضرة كمان، خضرة وفواكه.
In our country, we eat everything in natural, and we make it by our hand. But here it's different, everything in can. It's very healthy for us to keep our traditional food. But we can also use the new food for us, but in our way. We can add something from us, from our culture. We make it very good for us. Yeah.
أنا من سوريا، إجيت بأيار 8 أيار 2017. لأنه نحن جديدة بكندا، أنا جديدة بكندا، فنحن بحاجة لحتى إنه نندمج بالمجتمع الكندي ونتعرف على ثقافة الطعام الكندي يعني، فنحن بحاجة بالكورس ليفتح لي أبواب شغل أو نتعرف على ثقافة الطعام بكندا.
I came from Syria and I have been in Canada like almost 2 years. When I came here, I decided I will be like accountant or I will make cakes. For me, I attend that program. I have the food handler certification, and then I take like a cake decoration course. Having a good job like make your life easy. So when I found job, like I feel in peace. Like I have my job, I have my money, I can take care of my children. My future dream is to have my own business because I have that food handler certificate. So I have power to do that. That's why I want to do that in the future.
We need job to survive. Like that, without job, without work, we cannot belong to this country. You know, a lot of women, they found a job from this program. They work at school, they work also at restaurant. They got a lot of job from this program.
صار عندي أصدقاء عراقيين، أصدقاء سوريين، يعني أصدقاء اللي كانوا ساكنين هون تعرفت عليهم، يعني شغلة ممتاز.
إنه يعني نحن اجتمعنا، هو أحلى الشيء لما حسيتهم مثل إخواتي. يعني أنا صحيح إنه إخواتي بسوريا، بس إجيت لهون لقيت أهل وإخوات كمان. أنا بحبهم يعني مثل إخواتي.
Before this program, I was alone. Now I know a lot of people from our country, Canadian people. I know a lot of things about the culture in this country. I want the program to be forever.
Thank you, thank you. Very moving. And here now we have seen the presentations of all 8 award-winning cities tonight, or today. Feels like night, doesn't it? But I would like to invite one of our jury members to the stage to moderate a short period of questions. We can take a number of questions. We're late, and I don't want to keep you long. But I'm hoping that that these very stimulating presentations have left a question in your minds. And please, Jess Halliday. Jess is an independent researcher in food systems now, but was a primary author of a report by the International Panel of Experts on Sustainable Food Systems that those of you in the City Region Food System Assessment presentation yesterday morning may have heard reference from Corina Hawks to this study. Very, very valuable study, and I welcome you as also a member of the jury to help us moderate a brief exchange of questions to the cities, or perhaps among the cities and those who were award winners last year. It's really up to you how we spend the next few minutes back and forth. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Thomas. How long do we have?
I've been asking. I think we have 20 minutes or so. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to add my congratulations to all the winners today. It was a real pleasure to be part of the jury, and I'm sure that my colleagues on the jury will agree that the standard of entries was very high, which makes the achievement in winning the various categories all the more impressive. So very well done to all of you. Now, I'm keen to open up the debate to the floor, but Thomas did ask us to be thinking about common themes from the presentations. And in the interest of, I hope, fueling debate, I'd like to mention a few things that I noticed from the presentations. The first is the involvement in an active way and the empowerment of social groups who will be most affected by policies and programs, when they're often not the groups who have a great deal of social capital and who don't necessarily step up and demand to be involved. We saw this in Dakar, in Austin, in Toronto, in Antananarivo, refugees, long-term unemployed people, disabled people. The second is the need for food system resilience in the face of emergencies related to climate change, natural disasters, political upheaval. Unfortunately, we're living in very turbulent times, and this is something which really came out in Antananarivo and also in last year's award winner presentations in both Baltimore and Mexico City. And the third theme I identified is institutionalization or embedding the policy or practice into the city. Now, the projects we've heard about today are at different stages. Some are very well established and quite embedded, such as Dakar micro gardens have been, I believe, in existence for quite a long time. And in Copenhagen, our representative said earlier that, in fact, we don't even talk about organic anymore, we just do it. And that, I think, is one of the objectives, really, to get to the stage where it just becomes, for want of a better expression, a no-brainer. This is how we do it, this is what we do. So, without further ado, are there any questions from the floor? Okay, we have one over there. Thank you.
Hello, hi. I would like to know for the micro gardens, how did you actually choose your beneficiaries? And is there an impact after a certain amount of time that this program has been going on that you can already feel? Is there an education or somebody looking after the people that have been the beneficiaries to make sure they really, the program is still ongoing and has a long-term impact? So maybe Dakar could answer this for me. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Do you have a reply?
Voilà. Donc, concernant le choix des bénéficiaires pour Dakar, nous avons choisi les couches vulnérables. Dakar a 19 communes et nous sommes passés par les communes qui constituent la ville de Dakar et les couches vulnérables. On a fait une campagne de sensibilisation, d'information, une tournée à travers la ville et c'est les populations elles-mêmes qui se sont inscrites au niveau des communes pour bénéficier de ce programme-là. Les impacts, nous l'avons vu au niveau des écoles d'abord, des enfants. Les enfants ne connaissaient pas, ne savaient pas comment pousser les légumes. Maintenant, nous avons des jardins potagers et les enfants cueillent les légumes, vont à la maison avec leurs légumes et en parlent avec leurs parents. Impact d'abord écologique d'abord. On parle d'alimentation, mais moi je vais parler d'abord de l'écologie. Dakar, les seuls poumons verts de Dakar, c'est les micro-jardins. Donc, les seuls points verts qu'on trouve à Dakar, c'est les micro-jardins. Et concernant l'alimentation, nous avons privilégié l'autoconsommation et le surplus est vendu. Et donc, nous avons vu une amélioration dans les régimes alimentaires des familles. Au niveau des troisième âge, des personnes malades de diabète, tout cela, nous avons pu le mesurer. Point de vue économique, le surplus qui est vendu coûte plus cher sur le marché que les légumes traditionnels. Et donc, la génération de revenus est réelle. Je ne sais pas si j'ai répondu à votre question. C'est bon?
Thank you. Florence Segal, I think you have a question.
Yes, I think that the experiences were really, really interesting, and I can just imagine the number of not less, probably almost as interesting experiences that are not here, and the ones and what I'm really, there was a discussion, I think it was the person who was presenting on Tegucigalpa, who was explaining how FAO had helped. And there is something, FAO has a lot of material that could be relevant. And I was thinking of all the work on school nutrition. But on the other hand, FAO would have a lot to learn from possibly material that has been developed by cities during those experiences. And in order to avoid mayors who want to embark on new topics to start reinventing the wheel and going through all that cumbersome process, it would really be important to see how the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact context could enable people to start pooling the existing information and start rationalizing a bit. It always has to be adapted to the local context, but still there are a lot of commonalities. And I would like to bring attention to the work that the Standing Committee of Nutrition has done. I have two examples here on sustainable diets and on nutrition in schools that could perhaps constitute useful references or background to cities who would be interested. Thank you.
Thank you, Florence. Let's take a second question before we go back to the panel for comments. Arthur, I think you have something.
Yes, thank you. Also reflecting Florence's contribution, I would like to ask any of the awardees if, given that so many of the cases reflect the capacities of cities to adapt to crises of different scales and timeframes, and be they in coping with slow-moving and very painful challenges of dislocation and migration, stemming from conflict or drought, or the urgent and emergency responses to earthquakes or cyclones, whether that focus of the local food system, the context that it creates for disaster risk reduction and building resistance to enhancing adaptive and absorptive capacities that urban areas peculiarly have, whether awardees have contributed any of these experiences into the national or international conversations about managing humanitarian crises or refugee relief and migration issues or disaster risk reduction strategies. I think there's an enormous contribution that this layer of experience can contribute to those global conversations.
Thank you, Arthur. So do any of our cities have any comments on those two contributions? Anyone bursting to come back on those? Thank you.
Suzanne? Well, I think that's a very wise comment that you made, and I think we did hear a little bit about that this morning. There was a question around the elephants in the room and what we can do as cities, and I think that that's another, what you're speaking of is exactly the same issue, that what really happens, on the front line, and the real issues come to bear in the cities, and it's the way in which cities respond and the flexibility that we have, because we have to be able to respond to those circumstances, that I think can do a great deal towards informing, state or provincial policy, federal policy, and ultimately, global solutions to the many challenges that we face. I think you're quite right in your comment. I don't know if my colleague from Copenhagen has anything further to add, but I think you were saying that very same thing this morning.
Great, thank you. Do we have another response? Yeah.
Yeah, because you mentioned cyclones, that's why I would like to say something. Because you are right when you say that we should enlist more support with from international partners, because the objective is not to distribute relief supplies, but just before cyclones or before any catastrophes, we should have alternative plans so that we can be ready, improve our readiness to face such catastrophes. And that's, we are working on that in our country. For example, we already have an emergency plan to evacuate people, but we think that's not enough. That's why we would like to preserve, for example, agricultural lands. I mentioned that in the morning, that not in the flooded areas, in the areas that may be prone to floods, but in other areas, so that we are sure that we have food supplies that can be sent to those areas that are affected. But once again, we cannot do that alone. We have to involve a lot of stakeholders.
Thank you very much. I think we have a question from Athens, and then we'll take another one after that before going back for comments.
I would like to thank everyone. It was fantastic to watch the work that you have done, and I hope it quickly goes online so we can show it to other people in our cities and inspire them. So please do give your presentations to the secretariat as soon as possible. I think Stuart's point was great, because I think it's very important to figure out how to incorporate lessons learned here on the level of cities, as you said, to higher levels of governance, and especially in international crisis preparedness plans. So I think it's a very apt point. But what I wanted to ask was a much smaller point, and it was towards Toronto, because I was wondering whether you faced at all the question on, because this is something we face a lot in Athens, on not focusing specifically on refugees and immigrants, but actually kind of creating an open group for people that are also unemployed in Toronto. And I don't know if you have unemployment, maybe you don't have unemployment in Toronto. but this is like, I was wondering whether it would be like how, yeah, that's the question.
Is that on now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay,
It's a
perfect.
targeted
I
question.
can't tell whether it's so. One, thank you for your question. Sadly, we do have unemployment in Toronto. I regret to inform the audience that that is a sad reality in our city. But as it turns out, this particular program, Community Food Works, the Community Food Works for Newcomer Settlement is a new version of the program. There did exist a Community Food Works program, and it wasn't necessarily specifically directed towards new immigrants and newcomers to Canada. So this is a program that has been around before, but given recent circumstances and those who've been arriving in our city as of late, who have to very unfortunately flee conflict in their homelands, this was a new variation on this particular program. Our next challenge, we're very, very pleased with the program to date. I would encourage you to speak to my colleague, Barbara Emanuel, who's just up here at the front, if you would like to hear more of the details, because she's the real brains behind the operation. But we're very pleased with the program to date because of its success. I mean, I think you could see from the faces of the people on the video that they really do feel a strong sense. Not only are they learning the food skill, but they're getting access to employment, and real skills that they're able to translate into jobs, but also getting a sense of community. And as I tried to mention earlier, I think it allows that opportunity for those people who participate in the program to, celebrate their culture and blend it with Canadian culture to create a wonderful new tradition and experience. And our hope is that we are able to expand this even more.
Thank you. And I think, is it Johannesburg? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Congratulations to all the award recipients. Very inspiring indeed. One of our biggest challenges in the city of Johannesburg is land, access to land. Land in Johannesburg is highly contested and it's highly politicized. And I'm just interested to know from one of the cities how you deal with land allocation, particularly where you have rapidly growing populations against limited land available for agricultural development. And if you could think about it more along the lines of medium to long-term planning, where you want to develop farmers, but at the same time you're cognizant of immigration, rapid immigration that might be unsustainable in a rapidly growing population. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's take a second question from just behind. I'm afraid my eyesight's going slightly. Is it Modena? I'm not sure.
Yes, thank you. I wondered if, with the wonderful experience that you described, in particular this about Toronto, if the food that you chosen as a healthy method, as a medicine, as you said, was agreed with these refugees. So you gathered the refugees and suggested the fact that the food could be a good idea to become a part of your city, or do they suggested you? So I mean, the fact that you have chosen food for this project is coming from you, or it was co-decided?
Okay, so do we have any responses to those two questions on the land use question and the question also directed at Toronto again? Yes, why don't we start with Toronto?
So the program that we have in Toronto, Community Food Works and Community Food Works for Newcomer Settlement, it is a collaborative effort and it is very much a co-delivered product. So I think it's clearly we had a program already, as I mentioned earlier, that there was a Community Food Works, which is a method by which we connect with our Employment and Social Services Department, where we have people who are currently receiving social assistance. We participate in the training so that they get skills to be able to have marketable skills so that they have better access to the employment market. As we received a number, and as we continue to receive a number of newcomers and immigrants to Canada, whether they're refugees or immigrants, that's, again, very much a part of the history of Canada and the strength, truly, of our wonderful city. And so the variation on the program, such that it became, there was a variation allowing for newcomer settlement and the application of the program to newcomers and refugees to our city was a collaborative effort and so co-decided.
Thank you. And do we have a comeback to the first question? Go ahead.
I would like to answer the questions asked by the representative from Johannesburg, because we can have something to share with them. I already touched upon that in the morning, that there are conflicting interests when it comes to the use of land, especially in urban areas. Because I mentioned that in the morning, that people who want to make, for example, a lot of money, companies who want to make a lot of money very quickly, they invest a lot in building shopping malls and residencies and blocks of flats or office parks. But that takes the land that should be used for food production, and you cannot prevent that. Of course, we can always negotiate with them. And I said in the morning that that's not enough. Negotiating with them is not enough. Among the stakeholders, we should involve, for example, I mentioned, I made that suggestion also in the morning, members of parliament, because securing agricultural belts around the city will only be possible if laws are passed, and only members of parliament can do that. Another alternative that we are using on our country, because we are now working on a master plan for the extension of the city of Antananarivo, and that includes 37 rural communes around the country. And we are starting negotiating with them so that we can preserve a lot of agricultural lands around the country, because we have to think of a long term. As you said, what are you going to do in order to provide sustainable food for these people in the next 10 years, in the next 50 years? So these are alternatives that we have to think of, but we have to start now. And the last thing, the last suggestion is for the limited space in urban areas, we should use the vertical approach so that we can make the best use of whatever land is available, wherever it is, so a limited space. I don't know if it answered your question.
Thank you. And I think we have another response from Our Lady from Austin.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yes. I wanted to respond to the representative from Johannesburg as well. In Travis County, where Austin is located, we have a very similar problem of losing 9 acres of farmland a day. As I mentioned in my presentation, our community is growing quite rapidly. So we're faced with the trade-off, those difficult trade-offs that the mayor from West Sacramento was talking about this morning, of whether you preserve farmland or you allow for more development and more affordable housing. You know, these are the very difficult questions that have to be answered. So one thing we're looking to do is create some sort of allowances for developments that incorporate dedicated area for food production or access to food retail. So building that into, we have an Austin Energy Green Building Standard, whereby if projects meet all these criteria, they get a special rating and in some cases get some certain allowances. So we're looking at building those types of mechanisms into the land development code in order to kind of incentivize with the carrot these decisions for developers to put aside some of the land, similar to like a parkland dedication or other things you may have seen.
Thank you. Did we have a brief comment from Eda? Wanted to add?
Yeah, well, I was triggered about the question about the refugees. We opened up an area for urban farming, a communal garden, and we had a side effect we hadn't expected, and the side effect is so nice for us that the instrument of communal garden is promoted. What we saw there is we opened up the garden, and people of the area used it, both Dutch people and refugees. The Dutch people has lost the skills how to garden, and the Afghan refugees and people from Turkey are teaching the Dutch people how to garden, how to grow beans. They're exchanging recipes, what to cook. So all of a sudden we are struggling with integration of newcomers, and all of a sudden we saw a project where it wasn't planned for integration and it works as integration.
Thank you. We have just a couple of minutes left. I would actually like to ask last year's winners if they have any questions for this year's winners. Perhaps I'm putting you on the spot. If you don't, then that's fine. But Holly and Stephanie, do you have anything you're dying to ask? Oh, can we get a microphone? Oh, thank you.
My question is, how are you engaging neighborhoods and residents in your food planning and food projects? And that can go to whoever would like to answer that one.
Thank you. And does Stephanie have a question, or are you good?
They're all wonderful practices, and it's very enlightening to hear from you. And I was going to ask, if you're all planning to, how are you planning to collaborate with other cities that are facing similar challenges?
Great, thank you both. So collaboration with other cities and involvement of neighborhoods. Who has a response to that? Yeah, go ahead.
Then I'll take the collaboration part then, because I know that our procurement officers, they are actually trying to be part of all the networks, all the groups that they can take part in, both to get new ideas, but also to, well, show some of the best practice we do in Copenhagen. And I think that should be an invitation to all to try to get contacts and meet everywhere with everyone that can. I'm just sitting here an hour. I've got so many new ideas I want to bring back, take back to Copenhagen. So I think as long as we just take part in the different networks, we will see a lot of results just out of 1 hour's talk. So when it's more organized and you have people sitting knowing a lot of things on an everyday basis, then I think that it's just, to do it.
Thank you. Anyone else have something to add, either on that question or on the involvement of neighborhoods? Yeah, go ahead, thank you.
Sure. So we're getting the input of residents in many different ways. We've done focus groups, and we make sure to do those in multiple languages. We always provide food at those meetings and childcare, and in some cases, we're able to give small incentives that are gift cards for people to join, because we really value people's time and want to communicate that to them. We don't want them to have planning fatigue, where they've been asked one too many times for their opinion and haven't seen it incorporated. And so we're very cognizant to value their time and to make sure we close that feedback loop and let them know what we're doing with their input. We also make sure we attend community or events where people are already going, or community centers where we make sure we are there, and always keeping an ear to the ground, sharing information out about what we're doing, but also listening. One other interesting thing we just piloted this last year was using a community health worker, a promotora. It's a model that's very popular in Mexico and some parts of Central and South America, where they kind of act as a liaison between the resident and the healthcare provider. But in our case, we're using it as this community health worker. We've put them in one of the family resource centers at one of the local schools, and they're helping connect residents to food resources. So making sure they know how to sign up for food assistance, make sure that they know where food pantries are if needed, and it's been a very interesting model that we're considering expanding. I'm also very curious to learn about more about Baltimore's resident equity advisors, because that sounds like an interesting model. As far as collaboration, the City of Austin has recently convened with some of the other largest Texas cities. We are meeting with San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas on a quarterly basis to do information sharing, and with hopes that we can really build out our tools and collaborate and hopefully learn from each other and improve our processes.
Great, thank you. Unfortunately, we have to leave it there, and I know that there are still some questions from the floor, so I would like to encourage you to find our winners afterwards, and I'm sure they'd be delighted to engage in more conversation with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jess. I want to thank all of you and all of you who have stayed to participate in this ongoing conversation, which never ends. What at the moment we need to do, though, I would like to invite all of our 8 award recipients, perhaps with the help of our hostesses, to get their awards and just stand in the center for a quick photo of all 8 cities, if we could. And while that's happening, I'd like to invite Cecile, while you get the awards, let's see if we can bring them to you. Cecile, would you make a little trailer announcement for next year, please, for our 2018 award cycle?
Yeah, so I am very pleased to announce that the cooperation with Fondazione Cariplo is going to continue, so we can expect a 3rd edition of the Milan Pact Awards, a 2018 edition. And I would like to encourage cities since now to participate to the next edition. We have some cities that are serial submitters, submitters. There are some other cities that never did it, so please do submit your practices and get in touch with us. Thank you very much.
She's having to tell me to move. Thank you again, and don't go anywhere because there are a few additional items on the agenda, but I will give a few minutes to rearrange. And is there any other announcement that you have, or is that good? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Announce the console. No, you have to announce the console now. She's going to
invite the Valencia Counselor for Social Affairs to the stage, please? Do you want this? Yeah, perfecto, perfecto, perfecto. So there's a mic.
Autoritats, participants en la tercera trobada anual i cimera d'alcaldes 2017, amigues i amics, València firma ara fa 2 anys el Pacte de Polítiques Alimentàries Urbanes de Milà i, com a conseqüència, la ciutat s'ha vist immersa en un ambiciós programa d'accions encaminades a generar un sistema alimentari local més sostenible, inclusiu, resilient, segur i diversificat. La ciutat comptava ja amb una ambiciosa proposta programàtica en aquest sentit i que, amb el valuós referent del marc estratègic d'acció del Pacte de Milà i en el marc del dret universal a l'alimentació sostenible per a tota la població, ha treballat activament per aconseguir aquest repte. Com diu una dita local molt alimentària, ens hem ficat les mans a la farina per caminar cap a un horitzó tan ambiciós. Ens queda camí per recórrer, ho sabem, però estem molt satisfets d'haver sigut la ciutat acollidora d'esta reunió anual de ciutats firmants del Pacte de Milà en 2017. Este fet ens ha fet assumir la responsabilitat de ser l'espill en què es puguen mirar altres ciutats del món i comptar amb el suport de molta gent. Ens agradaria que la ciutat que recull el testimoni d'este compromís per a l'any 2018 tinga el mateix suport. Nosaltres oferim ja la nostra mà i l'experiència acumulada. Si algun consell podem donar a les ciutats que se sumen a la responsabilitat i l'oportunitat de participar en el que suposarà un canvi de model en el sistema alimentari local, és el de buscar aliances i encetar processos de transició. A València, des d'un primer moment, hem sigut conscients que si havíem assumit el deure d'acompanyar la transició cap a nous models agroalimentaris en tots els seus àmbits, productiu, logístic, comercial, cultural, el saber fet i l'experiència estava en mans de la societat civil, del sector privat i del món acadèmic i investigador. Ells mai han deixat d'experimentar, innovar i lluitar per avançar cap a nous models alimentaris més adequats, locals, saludables, justos i segurs per al conjunt de la societat. Consegüentment, amb això des del govern de la ciutat hem centrat els nostres esforços en generar aliances i dinàmiques col·laboratives que afavoriren una bona governança alimentària i en aquesta direcció hem posat en marxa un Consell Alimentari Municipal. També, en la direcció col·laborativa, ens hem ajuntat amb altres ciutats per tal de crear la Red de Ciudades por la Agroecología. Algunes d'aquestes ciutats estan avui ací presents. Entre les moltes coses que creiem és que és imprescindible un recanvi generacional en les persones que sostenen l'activitat agrícola local. Estem parlant d'una població molt envellida. Així, la mitjana d'edat està en els 64 anys i crec no equivocar-me si faig extensiva aquesta situació a algunes de les vostres ciutats. Hem d'aconseguir millorar la rentabilitat de la producció agrícola perquè sense un reconeixement econòmic digne de l'activitat agrícola no hi ha futur per al sector i per això estem treballant per identificar en els mercats i en el comerç local el producte de proximitat, impulsant plataformes de venda directa i canals curts de comercialització locals, perquè estem convençuts que en aquesta línia està també una part de la solució dels problemes de l'alimentació global. Des de València estem treballant per aconseguir la participació de tota la societat en aquells fòrums que tinguen l'alimentació com a element nuclear. Ho hem fet en el Consell Alimentari Municipal i ho hem fet generant espais de coordinació com ara l'Observatori Local de la Sostenibilitat Alimentària, impulsant debats i propostes sobre la seguretat i accessibilitat alimentària per a les poblacions amb major risc d'exclusió. Al document del Pacte de Milà quedava clar que la viabilitat econòmica no està renyida amb el compromís amb l'entorn natural i social i en aquesta línia hem introduït programes per a la gestió ecològica de les plagues, per ajudar a convertir els residus agroalimentaris en insums per a altres activitats, per a prioritzar en les iniciatives amb major responsabilitat social i ambiental en les polítiques públiques. I treballem per a poder donar des de l'administració exemple en la compra i consum alimentari introduint clàusules socials i ambientals en els nostres contractes. Hem començat a implicar a la ciutadania en l'observació i la custòdia del territori periurbà, promovent el reconeixement administratiu del valor del territori rural periurbà i limitant el creixement urbà sobre zones de valor productiu, catalogant i protegint el patrimoni cultural i productiu, agrari i rural. Hem posat en marxa fórmules per a la gestió circular de la matèria orgànica en alguns espais per tal que a mitjà termini es puguen generar infraestructures que duguen a terme una correcta gestió de residus. Hem encetat un procés de reconeixement i de difusió del patrimoni pesquer local generant debat sobre les dificultats que pateix el sector. Hem dut a terme un procés d'acompanyament per a la sensibilització en com és d'important la correcta alimentació en els menjadors escolars i en alguns centres educatius que són de titularitat municipal, culminarà en unes conclusions que elevarem a la nostra administració autonòmica. Hem organitzat jornades obertes a la ciutadania, una a l'abril passat i una altra ara fa poques setmanes, que vinculen una correcta alimentació amb un millor estat de salut i de com hi ha una relació directa entre aquests dos paràmetres, alimentació saludable i millor estat de salut. D'aquestes profitoses jornades van eixir unes conclusions que ara després lliurarem als representants de FAO i al secretariat tècnic del Pacte de Milà, perquè pensem que constitueixen un valuós material de reflexió. A València hem posat en un dels primers llocs de l'agenda política la importància dels mercats municipals com a distribuïdors d'un producte de qualitat, de quilòmetre zero. També la venda directa al consumidor del producte del camp a través de la nostra tira de comptar, que reporta majors beneficis als llauradors, ja que elimina els intermediaris. València ha encetat un camí. Ens queda molt per fer, però per nosaltres aquesta reunió no és un event. Per nosaltres és una passa més cap a un canvi de model. D'aquestes jornades que abans us parlava, van néixer idees com que l'administració havia de fer possible que el dret universal a una alimentació sostenible estiguera garantit per damunt de les lògiques dels mercats i amb una perspectiva d'impuls de l'economia social i solidària. Una altra de les conclusions fou la necessitat de la protecció dels territoris productius i d'una correcta articulació de les relacions camp-ciutat que garantisca la viabilitat econòmica de les explotacions agràries i del xicotè comerç local, associat des d'una perspectiva agroecològica i d'abans cap a la sobirania alimentària dels pobles. I també es posà especial èmfasi en treballar l'educació alimentària agroecològica per formar una ciutadania crítica i responsable, conscient del valor de l'alimentació local, estacional i coherent social i ambientalment. Aquesta és una mostra del que des de València hem treballat i hem reflexionat en clau local, però creguem que perfectament és portable a les vostres distintes i diverses realitats, Moltes gràcies per la vostra presència i per les vostres valuosíssimes aportacions a aquest encontre. Molta sort a les ciutats candidates a acollir l'encontre de l'any 2018 i reiterar la nostra mà oberta per recórrer aquest camí conjuntament. Moltes gràcies.
Cecile and Guido, please receive our suggestions for the cities. Thank you. One copy is for FEO and the other is for Milan Pact. Thank you very much. This is our conclusions, our main conclusions of this year. Thank you. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Okay, we are very close to the end. Thank you very much. First of all, at 7 o'clock, there will be buses in the door in order to bring us to the reception of our mayor in the city hall. Second, very important, the headsets. Don't forget to return the headsets, please. Third, Rafael, Jorge, Carmen, Susana, Arantxa i tots els empleats, tots els empleats i funcionaris i persones vinculats i vinculades a l'Ajuntament de València, vos tinc que transmetre les felicitacions que se'ns estan donant tot el món, l'enhorabona de FAO, de les ciutats, els experts, la gent de les universitats. Sembla que ho hem fet prou bé, l'heu fet molt bé. O sigui, de veres que gràcies a totes les persones de l'Ajuntament de València i del Palau de Congressos i de totes les institucions, de la societat civil, de la Universitat de València, la Politècnica, un fum de gent que ha estat vinculada amb tot el cor este any. Okay. I have the honor to announce the city that will host the 4th annual gathering and Mayor Summit in the year 2018 will be the city of Tel Aviv-Yafo. Congratulations. Okay. You have some words? Are you coming to say something? Okay, no, okay. Are you reporting the? You will see something. Okay. This. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much on behalf of the city of Tel Aviv-Yafo for choosing us to host next year's gathering in Tel Aviv. Thank you for the steering committee for voting for us, and we are looking forward and excited to host next year's gathering. Thank you to the city of Valencia for a wonderful and fascinating gathering this year. And we will need your experience, advices, and tips during the next year. All right. Can I get an assist with this? Oh, here is it. So in the last 2 days, we talked a lot about cities' responsibility to tackle the challenges that emerge from a rapid urbanization that happens around the globe. All right. Tel Aviv signed the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact 2 years ago, and that was actually the catalyst for us to formulate and implement an urban food policy. the members of the cities in Milan urban food policy takes responsibility and truly understand the complex linkage toward health of the human beings and the health of the environment. In our urban food policy, we took responsibility to access to knowledge toward a healthy life and access for healthy and sustainable food for all citizens. So next year we're gonna meet in Tel Aviv, and I want to tell you some facts about the city of Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is the second biggest city in Israel. We have 426 residents, and the size of the city is 52 square kilometers, but we have 14 kilometers of beautiful sandy beach. The population is very diverse. You can meet in Tel Aviv religious, seculars, Jews, Arabs, blacks, whites, refugees, and to my opinion, this is the strength of Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is also the center of Israel's economic, culture, media, and art. In the next year's gathering, we're going to experience a fresh and smart food city. Our eating habits includes a lot of fruits and vegetables, and a survey conducted to examine Israelis' eating habits found out actually that 54% of the Israelis prefer salad for their lunch. Israel, we also have the highest population, vegan population, and it estimated that 5% of the population in Israel are vegan, and most of them live actually in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is also a smart and innovative city. It is the second most developed ecosystem in the world, and Tel Aviv is a true startup city. It is a home to a highest concentration of startups per capita in the world. The gathering next year will happen during the Innovation Week and the DLD Festival. So we're going to combine innovation, smart city, and fresh food. And now I want to invite you to watch a short video that represents the city of Tel Aviv.
My name is Mehereta Baruch. I'm the Deputy Mayor of Tel Aviv-Yafo. I'm in charge of the Social Service Administration in our city. I'm also leading the food policy program in Tel Aviv, and we're looking forward to hosting you in Tel Aviv. Thank you.
Thank you. We brought some souvenir for you to take home and to remember next year's gathering in Tel Aviv-Yafo. Thank you.
Congratulations. And now, my friends, this is the end of these wonderful days of MUFPP. But tomorrow, as you know, we have some workshops and conventions and all those things. So, see you tomorrow here, and those that have to go to the City Hall, as I told you before, at 7 o'clock, we will see in the door. Thank you very much.